Who's next? Dink. Dink has to say anything.
I'll just give you a little feedback. You were talking about the 1111 house. I was an original member, the Virgin time we had it, the first time we were in 1111.
Vince Clark said something about how Tom Mahalik was the energy czar.
Well, yes. Back then is when there was
if you turn the heat up, you'd get a stern lecture.
Oh yeah, and several whacks in the.
You had to have one of those back then.
But yeah, he was. I guess it was the time of the gas crisis, basically, and you know, we were always very prudent with money because we needed money for beer down back there, and that was pretty much the main priority. So it was good to have the energy czar there because he did save money, and theoretically that went toward foamy wet goods, which was essential to run a proper fraternity, in my opinion.
Foamy wet goods.
The 1111 house, when we first got it, from what I had heard, the first floor of the house was halfway underwater. Now, this is the first floor of the house, which means...
First floor?
First floor. Now, there's a basement to this.
Halfway,
so you figure out, is it Bernoulli's principle or something in physics, but you got to figure the water, the first floor, came up from the basement. So the basement was completely underwater. But
so you had a swimming pool.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know how the landlord got it out. And he was such a deft mechanic and a real whiz around the house too.
Walt Ralston.
Yeah.
Walt Ralston.
But the price was right. I think everybody paid about $40 a month. And
can't beat that.
In the winter you could see your bread. It's the price you pay. And that was partially due to the energy czar.
Well,
partially due to poor ventilation, poor insulation, whatever that stuff is. The engineers, these guys know.
Who else was in the house?
What's that?
Who else was in the house with you?
I guess we had about 12 guys. At one time, this is in urban Philadelphia. At one time, we found a live raccoon on the 3rd floor, eating like the garbage can.
So there was a kitchen on the 3rd floor.
Yeah, it was a kitchen on all 3 floors.
About Charlie's dog?
I'm gonna. He was a member of the 1111 house. He had the warmest room.
Get him on camera.
He had the warmest room.
He was an 1111 member.
Readily available. You can get me anytime.
That's true.
Mr. Dink.
That's right. We can always grab you at a local function.
But we had Vince, me, and Jinxie Lavertano on the 1st floor, which I took a little extra insurance out myself because I was living on the same floor. Rizzo and Mario on the 2nd floor. Ches was on the 2nd floor. Who else was on the 2nd floor? You?
Mike.
Yeah, Mike. Mike was on the 2nd floor. 3rd floor there was Moose, the energy czar, because heat rises. And he was an engineer. It was a chemist.
Yeah,
We're getting a little too rough on Tom. Who else was on the 3rd floor? Mario and Riz were on the 2nd floor. No, they were on the 3rd floor.
Cesarini and...
They were on the 2nd floor. Charlie Giuliano was on the 2nd floor.
But somebody told me, like, when you guys first moved in, you were visited by the police, and they told you that prior to you moving in, the house was used for a bordello?
Oh, it was, definitely. When we moved in, it was like red lights and all the lights. And the only furniture in the place was mattresses. The only furniture in the place.
Yeah, I think the original Plato's Retreat got started there. But at one point, though, we'd had the cops in our back pocket. They used to come to the party, so. Yeah, I followed one all the way back to Immaculate. I said, I'm drunk as a skunk, but I'm not going to get stopped because I got a cop in front of me. But,
Philly's finest.
Yeah. Then I also lived in the Guinea house. The reason I joined the... Wait a minute.
Let's explain this Guinea house.
Before you get to
wait.
Charlie's dog?
Let's talk about Charlie's dog.
Yeah, Charlie bought this
This
canine
is great.
in,
yeah.
It was a puppy. It wasn't really trained. It wasn't toilet trained or anything like the rest of us. He used to shit all over the floor. And he kept it like on the 1st floor, penned in or something. And it actually probably made the aroma of the house a little nicer. But at any rate, nobody really knows, Vince, how the dog got out, but the dog was missing one night. Everybody got fed up with the dog. And no one really knows for sure how the dog got out of the house, but the majority of people were pretty happy the dog was gone. They were hoping its owner would go, too, but...
Oh, well.
But I joined the fraternity, I guess I was the second pledge class. Raleigh had mentioned John Cavanaugh. I saw John Cavanaugh behind the bar mixing drinks and having a good time. I said, there is a man having a good time. He was playing the piano. I said, look, this is a versatile bunch of guys. This is what college is all about. Forget the academics. Yeah, we did some crooning. And there were always women around. They didn't win any beauty contests, but who gives a shit? A couple beers and they all look good.
What about the Guinea House?
Guinea House, senior year I lived there. That was, that was when we still had the 1111 house, and I was smart enough to get out of there. I was doing my rookie season there, doing my penance there.
Thanks. Explain how it became known as the Guinea House.
Bernardo, Bobby Bernardo lived there.
Maffedini, Carroll.
Bill DiMaria lived there.
They're all in vowels.
All the Italian section of the fraternity lived there. And when I was pledging, I didn't have Pat Caparro as my pledge master, but I remember finding out what his school schedule was so I could avoid him on campus. I knew he had groups to be over here at 2:30, so I would be over here.
Smart pledge.
Who was your pledge?
Tom Maffedini was my pledge master. He wasn't quite as bad as Caparro, but he wasn't an easy customer either. But the key to pledging was you find a couple of brothers that make it easy on you, and you make sure that I have to go there tonight. I can't polish your shoes tonight. I have to go see Mr. Ahern was my
Oh, right.
was my ace in the hole.
You got to talk a little bit about some of the first home nights. We used to do a lot of scavenger things for those home nights.
Down there and turn right.
Oh, yeah.
One home night I can remember, we had one new brother, John Carr. They were sent to the airport to get anything they could get from the airport. And the story goes from his pledge brothers when they came back that he was going down an escalator, and there's like signs above the escalator that hang down by these iron tie rods, right, or steel tie rods. Took a flying leap off the escalator onto this sign, and he's hanging, swinging back and forth, trying to pull the darn sign down. And the story goes on further that morning, once he became a brother, they said, is there anything that you regret? He says, yeah, I regret that I didn't get that fucking sign.
And he's a pretty mellow guy.
And he was a very mellow guy. We got to find somebody that can tell about that whole night that